In 1963, President John F. Kennedy intended to dismantle the CIA. Then he was assassinated. There was a big cover-up. In the years following, there's this one guy. His name's Jim Garrison. He's the DA for the Orleans Parish in New Orleans. He starts asking a bunch of really relevant questions about the assassination. He's the magic bullet guy, like, was it a magic bullet? How did this happen? It doesn't appear to be a lone gunman. The term conspiracy theorist, I'm honestly surprised, is still often used as an insult. Many of the theories have turned out to be right on. And as time passes and pieces of the different puzzles are gathered and put in the right piles, we begin to get a clearer picture. We start to see the patterns. It's like there's these invisible forces. It's like, dark matter. Sometimes we'll come up with a name for something that we know is there, even though we don't really even understand what we're talking about, right? Scientists say that 85% of matter, we can't see or touch it, but it must be there because otherwise the galaxies would just fly apart. So we come up with a placeholder word for something that we can't quite put our finger on, right? Like if you were in a boat out in the ocean and a big sea monster swam under you, your boat might rise up. You might feel like a pressure wave underneath you as that monster passed. And we learn to sense these things, to know these things. In the weeks and years directly following the 9/11 attacks, I did not question the narrative that I was given by corporate media. But I was not ever a fan of George Bush's jingoism. It appears to me now, quite clearly, that the U.S. has been employed as a proxy state to assist in Bibi Netanyahu's seven-front war. And I really don't even think it's Bibi's war anymore. I think probably everyone that we can see on the surface of this thing is just a puppet. They're the pressure wave. We see them, these men doing things, but I don't think anymore that they're really doing them. I mean, once we understand that our government is controlled by like a sex traffic ring of blackmail, I mean, now we understand why our politicians behave the way they do and why they speak so nonsensically, because they're owned, they're bought. That's clear now. It's become clear. From where I sit, it looks like the secular nation state of Israel actively purchases every U.S. congressman, and then Mr. Netanyahu goes to Washington and tells us which part of his seven-front war we are about to fight for him. And I really no longer have the capacity to see it any other way. It's been a great mystery in the same way that the Federal Reserve has always been a great mystery. No matter how many times I try to understand, it's just this enigma. It's like, yeah, you can look at it, but no, it just appeared to me as a creature of our own making that we just chose to believe in. That's how it felt to me after approaching it many times, kind of like I approach chess. I know how the pieces move and I can kind of hang in there for a bit, but I'm always going to lose when I play Dan, or pretty much anybody else. Sometimes I can beat 10-year-olds, that I can still feel good about it. But anyway, I'm not naturally a pattern systems person, I guess. Except for when it comes to music, possibly. I guess maybe I'm just expanding this out here into this outward realm. I'm the kind of person who starts inside, I guess, and goes out. I think it was Niels Bohr who said something about like there are some people who find God out there and then they make this journey in. Some people find God in and then they make the journey out. I think I'm an inside to the outside kind of person. Have you ever heard of a guy named Noam Chomsky? He's a very famous and very old political activist, Vietnam activist, linguist, and he's an intellectual. In 1998, Noam wrote a book called Manufacturing Consent. It's a book, I guess, all about how corporate-owned media poisons our minds with state lies. I honestly have not read it. I owned the book for a while, and I knew it was a book I needed to read, but I just kind of anyway. That's my overview. If I'm wrong, help me out. But anyway, years after 9/11, as it became quite evident to me that the 9/11 Commission, those government officials whose job it was to help us to understand what had happened on that terrible day in 2001, they were trying to feed we the people a horse shit sandwich. And I got real riled up about that. And I was incredibly angry at both church and state at this point in my life. And I believed, or rather it appeared clear to me, that there must have been some kind of conspiracy, a cover-up around the 9/11 attacks. I'd done a lot of reading, watched a lot of videos. I was trying to understand the big picture, not just about 9/11, but about the human condition. And then once I saw 9/11, I really had to make it about the human condition. I had to understand us. I needed to kind of understand history and what was going on and what it was that I was missing. And in that deep dive, I had learned about something called a false flag attack. Apparently, it's what lying governments do when they want to go to war. War, the most profitable business, apparently, that humans have ever created. My wife, at the time, she was an English prof at a small university. We were there so sweetly and lovingly provided for by God. She was not happy with a conspiracy theorist husband. And that's when I heard Noam Chomsky, Uncle Noam, I used to call him, say this. This is what he said to a 9/11 conspiracist that he was talking to. He said this, and it sounded so practical. It put my mind at ease for a while about my conspiracy theory. He said, the more people that must be involved in a conspiracy, the less likely there is a conspiracy at all. Uncle Noam explained it so rationally to me. He said, there was no conspiracy behind 9/11 simply because the conspiracy would require too many conspirators, and it is very unlikely that all those conspirators would keep their mouth shut. So the bigger the conspiracy, the less likely it is, said Uncle Noam. So I shut my mouth about all of it. I was like, yeah, that's right. And I was relieved. So was my wife. Uncle Noam is right, I told myself. There are no conspiracies. Years later, I discovered that sexual blackmail rings are the control mechanisms that might keep a bunch of mouths shut. I also discovered that Mr. Chomsky was pretty good friends with Jeffrey Epstein. They exchanged some emails, they flew around together. And all of that proves nothing at all, and I know that. But I've also seen too much now. I've connected too many dots, I guess. My faith in our system is no more.
I've been saying that for years.
But don't give up on me yet, because I'm not blackpilling you here. After 9/11 came the war in Iraq. against Saddam Hussein, even though 30 minutes after the attack, they told us that it was Osama bin Laden. We went after Iraq. Well, Bibi came over and he told us that we needed to, and we needed to go get these weapons of mass destruction, that it was a big deal, and we went. They didn't have them, it turns out, and we knew that apparently. That's what I've heard. And that's not to even mention the so-called anthrax attacks that also appear to have been created by our intelligence agencies, those attacks on our own government. Oklahoma City, 1996.
95.
I just went backwards. I was training, preparing myself to go to Army basic training, when I heard and felt a terrible explosion. It was the Oklahoma City bombing. Turns out, our innately corrupted intelligence agencies had a hand in all of that too. It wasn't just Timothy McVeigh. I'm not an investigative journalist. I'm not prepared to lead you down the rabbit trails I've been going down all these years. My mind doesn't work like that. I'm a generalist, and that's how I'm speaking about all this. And if my thinking is wrong about all this stuff, and there's more, I guarantee you, I pray that I would see the light. I don't want to feed anyone a black pill, as I said before, but I can't just undo the conclusions I've come to over these many years. I do not consent to the corrupt government that I see. I do, however, remember those oaths I've taken to the Constitution, even though Yeshua apparently says don't take oaths and don't make promises. I do understand that more now. Anyway, I've made a lot of videos. I've talked about that stuff before, and I might again. But anyway, if there is an American dream left to have, I believe that the Constitution is the path to dreaming that dream again. I've plowed the fields. I've worn the uniforms and carried guns in my service to state, city, and federal institutions. I've served as an educator. I've served in the field of medicine. I've paid taxes. And I have given my all in every effort. Thank God I can say that with an honest heart. I am a follower of the way, the truth, the life. In other words, Christ is King. And I can speak to you very clearly about what exactly that means to me. Christian nationalists, Zionists, oligarchs, technocrats, and the centralized power structures, Babylon, I will not serve. We all need to understand now what it truly means when we say that we are God's chosen people. God's chosen are those who are ready to pay the ultimate price, those who have already made peace with their own death, those who have ceased in trying to save their own lives. God's chosen pray for their enemies. We bless those who curse us. We love God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength. God's chosen are free from attachment to religion, free from attachment to ideology. God's chosen have no attachment to political party, no attachment to self. And God's chosen have no righteousness of their own. Their righteousness is a gift freely bestowed upon them by God. Every day, we pray for the oligarchs and the technocrats. We wish no one harm. We are fierce in our commitment to the life of Christ, being lived in and through us. We will not We will not cast our pearls to the pigs. We will shake the dust off our sandals when we are unwanted. We are wise like serpents. We are gentle like doves. We forgive as Christ forgives, even when we find ourselves mocked, exiled, crucified. We know where our help comes from. Within. God is within us. Our authority rises from within, inner locus of control. And the world will know who we are by the love that we have for one another, for every single one of God's creations. And it is this love that makes us so dangerous. This love is dangerous because it cannot be stopped. When you ignore us, when you discount us, when you exile us, when you kill us, the love only becomes stronger. Christ is King. May the Lord strengthen you today, my friend. God bless you and keep you, cause his face to shine upon you, be gracious to you, and give you peace. Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, J.D. Vance, many other brothers, Elon, all you brothers, Trump, Donald Trump, Mr. Trump, President Trump, dear God, all of you brothers who have misunderstood your responsibility, come home. Come home.